Hello. So, welcome to our guided meditation with Antwerp Yoga. And I'm Robert Fulton. I'm going to be telling you a little bit what to expect, who I am, what not to expect, and where we're going to go. Thanks for joining us. And it's good to imagine seeing some old faces and some new ones. So I imagine that some of you are new to yoga or possibly new to meditation, and that's perfectly fine because this is really open for all of us. So we'll be looking into a few questions, and I'll be asking you a few questions, and I'll be imagining some of the responses and getting back to you. So to begin, I thought about a title for this, and we could just call this something. There's been a lot of talk, a lot of chatter about going within. Going within. Well, that's interesting because what do we do after we go within? So part of this will be also after we go within, we're going to be coming back out, which I think is even more important than that going down into whatever that is. And we'll be talking a little bit about that. So I'm just going to let people get settled a little bit. I know we just started, so I'm not going to rush into this. We have a little time. So what I'd like to ask is that you make yourself comfortable. And what does that mean? That doesn't mean the way you think you should be sitting or the way you should be meditating. We're going to get to all that in a little bit. But really make yourself comfortable. If you need to get a little tea, a little water, go to the bathroom, do all that. Take your time. We have time today. And once you get settled, maybe you want to have something to write on, maybe not. That's going to be up to you. There won't be a quiz after the class. Don't worry about that. But we will be talking about yoga. What is yoga? How does meditation fit into yoga? Not separate, not yoga and meditation, but yoga as meditation, meditation as yoga, and how do we combine those two? So again, a little few house rules. If you have to get up and go to the bathroom, just do it quietly. Don't disturb us. Don't disturb everyone else, but also do what you need to do. And if you have kids at home, which a lot of us do, or pets, then let them happen. They may happen. They may come in, they may interrupt, they may cross. Who knows? That's going to happen as well. This is different. We're living in a new time. So we're going to get started here in just a moment. And again, not sitting in any particular position. We'll work into that. So for now, just settling in, and I'm going to just introduce with the first two sutras of the Yoga Sutras. Atta Yogana Shasanam, Yogaschiti Vritti Nirodha. Now, what does that mean? Atta Yogana Shasanam. Now is the time for the instruction or for the handbook or the way of life of yoga. Now, atta, okay? Here we are at this moment, whether you're watching this live, whether you watch this later, atta can only be right now at this point in your life, at this point in this world history. So here we are, atta yogana shasana. And so we're here ready for yoga. You've made a choice, you're joining us, we're sitting down. You can lie down, really make yourself at home. You're at home, I'm at home. So make yourself at home. And here we are for yoga. Yoga as meditation, meditation as yoga. And again, we're going to bring those two together. Then yoga's chitti vritti nirodha. Yoga is the calming of the agitation, the fluctuations, the craziness going on all around us. That's what we're hearing. Just over and over, lots and lots of noise and chatter. Now, some of it's from the outside, and some of it's from the inside. And so people are saying, well, go inside. Okay, yeah, that doesn't sound too good if all the noise is coming from inside. So that's one of the things that we are going to look at is going within, but what does that mean? So sometimes I'm going to be like, question, hello, what does going within mean? I've been hearing that all the time. Go within, go within. So how do we go within, and how do we not get stuck there? That's a big one, because we can get stuck in there. And so I have one of these little things. Maybe you've seen one of these guys, little phrenology. So there's all these points on the brain, different points. So we have hope and wonder and ideality and language and numbers and time. Well, where's inside? Going within. Hello, hello, you there? Hello. Well, we don't always get an answer. We don't always get the answer that we think we want either. So again, we're going to be asking some questions about how to actually go through that process through the Yoga Sutras, just a little bit. Don't worry. You're like, school. No, we're not in school. Even though I see some of my students from Antelope Yoga teacher training. Thank you. Good to see you. But we're not in school. We're here to just, experience what this is going on today at this moment, and how can we use yoga. So going within and then coming back out. So to begin, who am I? If you're just joining, I'm Robert Fulton, and very happy to see names popping up. Can't see you, but I can sense the presence, and that's really nice. So I'm not someone who just volunteers to jump into these situations. Normally, I like to teach and have response, call and response, a little bit of dialogue. I'm not crazy about just being the only one talking today. So I'm going to hopefully try to imagine some of the questions that might come up, and then try to engage in a dialogue as if we were truly looking at each other. So I do teach with various places, and Antwerp Yoga is asked to host this. I'm part of the Antwerp Yoga teacher training, and with my good friend and colleague Elsie, we've been doing this for a few years, and we will be having one for next year. So please be looking out for that. We're moving forward. We're not, it's all over. Maybe the world as we knew it is over, but the world as we know it is not. The world as we know it is still here. And so we will be having a teacher training, and I'll be helping guide that soon. So keep your eyes and ears open. And thank you for Jasper and all the people at Antwerp Yoga having this amazing team and really wanting to get this to going together, and then extending our experience, our knowledge, and our love of yoga to you as well. So what can you expect today? Well, not this. We're not going to sit like that for an hour. Now, it's nice that you want to, and you can, but we're not going to be sitting here for an hour just looking holier than thou, and here I am meditating, and I'm blocking out the whole world, ignoring what's going on. No, we're not going to do that. We will have some meditation, and every now and then maybe we'll strike a pose. So if somebody's like spooling through and they just want to get to the meditation, so I'll just every now and then. Oh, gotcha. So if you were looking through, we're not meditating yet. So what to expect, we'll talk a little bit about yoga. We've already introduced some of the Yoga Sutras. What to expect is, well, a few different methods. And then meditation and yoga, there's no one size fits all. So maybe one style or one method works for you, but it doesn't necessarily work for someone else. So some of the things we do today, you may be like, okay, yeah, that really works. Or some of you may be like, ooh, no, not for me. So we will look into different types. There will be some breathing, pranayama. Pranayama is meditation. Pranayama is breath control. So we will be looking at that. So again, what are some of the house rules? If you need to get up, feel free to get up. If you need to pause, we'll be back. If your cat walks in front, which one of them might today, then let that happen. If your kids come in, they're your kids, they're your family, you're there. We're all talking about, oh, we get to spend time. Well, yeah. Guess what? Time. And another thing, some of you, I've asked the teacher training group, so what if you could only, do yoga all day long? Surprise! Now's your chance. But it's more challenging than we think, and that going within again is more challenging if it's just like, wow, okay, now what? How do I get out? What's next? So we will look into how to go in, how to come out, but also different methods. Some may work for you, some may not. We'll see what happens. However, at this point, let's do a little tuning in. So let us go inside for a moment. So here I would like, find a seat or on your back or whatever. Not what you think you should be, once again, because I can't see you. Nobody can see you. Well, maybe some, but I can't. So if you want to be sitting here like this, well, that's your choice. If you want to be sitting up tall like this, or if you want to be lying down, find that shape. Find your shape, not your neighbor's shape, not your friends, not your cats, not your dogs, not your kids, your shape. Take a moment and find that shape. If you have pillows, if you have cushions, however you want to be. Then I'll be guiding you sometimes with just the voice. So if you want to close the eyes, now's the time. So again, don't worry, nobody's looking. This is the time. If you want to experiment with meditation, if you want to experiment, now is the time. So close the eyes, find your shape, however you want to be. And then we start to check in with the physical body and start noticing the physical body. Now, how is the physical body? Maybe some of you have been doing lots of asana practice. There's asana here, asana there, asana. Everyone all of a sudden posts asana. So we have lots of asana, which is wonderful. But maybe we need a break from that too. Maybe we haven't started it. So maybe the body's asking either for a little less asana, a little more asana, a little movement, a little rest. Listen to what the body is saying. Your body will then bring you to the shape that it needs. Now that may be sitting, it may be on your back, it may be on your belly, whatever. Find that shape. Then we begin to look at the body as a whole. So how is the body feeling? Is there any tiredness or is there any soreness? Is there any injury or just discomfort that we need to be aware of? And that doesn't mean that we ignore this, but we look at it, we listen to it, we experience it. So we don't step away from it. Here we are. And then we begin to notice the body a little bit at a time. We can start with the legs. How are the feet? How are the feet doing? Warm or cold? Do you have socks? Are the feet touching the ground? Are the feet underneath? Just notice how the feet are doing. And then we bring that up into the lower legs. And then we feel the connection from the feet into the lower legs. And then again, if you're sitting, that's going to be one experience. If you're on your back, that's another experience. If you're standing, you can be standing. That's going to be another experience about how the lower legs connect to the feet. And then we bring it a little bit higher up into the upper legs. How are the upper legs doing? And we notice a connection between the upper legs down to the lower legs and down into the feet. This is our foundation. So we've grounded ourselves. We have our foundation, and here we are, grounded through the feet, through the lower legs, up into the upper legs, into the hips, and then we find that connection there. Then we're going to take it a little bit further. We're going to bring it up into the upper body, from here, up into the shoulders, down into the hands. And again, if you're sitting, maybe you do want to sit a little bit taller. Maybe you want to start moving, lifting up, getting a little space, making space for the breath. If you're on your back, maybe you really feel the weight of the body leaning back onto the floor. Then we notice the head, because we're going to be going here a little bit. We're going to go into the head, but we're also going to stay in the heart, and maybe a little bit into the belly as well. Just kind of notice how the head's doing. Again, if you have the eyes closed, you can just be closing the eyes and just experiencing the sound of the voice. And so that's our physical tune in. So we've tuned in physically from the feet through the legs, up into the upper body, up into the head. Now let's go a little bit into the non-physical. The non-physical, that could be an attitude. It could be an emotion. It could be a feeling. And this again is not the emotion or the feeling or the attitude that you think you need to have. Like if you think, okay, it's all wonderful, yay, butterflies, rainbow farting unicorns. No, maybe you're angry, maybe you're upset. That's perfectly fine. That can be a reaction. Maybe you're feeling calm, beautiful. Maybe you're feeling gratitude. Maybe you're feeling anxious or curious. Whatever that is, just live it for a moment and experience it. Feel it. And then we're going to start learning to release that. We don't identify with that. We don't become that. We don't become the frustration. We don't become the anxiety. We don't become the emotion. Even if it's a good one, because eventually it will pass. So we've settled in physically, we've checked in with the non-physical. What sort of energy do we bring to the group today? Whether it's a group of one or group of two, group of three, whatever your group is, what energy did you bring to that? And we take the next step and then we ask, what do I want to do with that? What do I want to do with that today? Do I want to change it? Do I want to keep it? Do I want to increase it? That's something we can say is our samkalpa. Samkalpa is something you hear a lot in yoga classes. Samkalpa means with thought or with intention. So our samkalpa, so we can join in one of those today since we're here. Our samkalpa can be, okay, we're going to go within, but we're also going to make sure we step back out. So we're going to really experience what's going on for a moment. Taking those deep breaths, finding that breath, and then we're going to let go of that and the samkalpa. But we're going to join together for this, for that. And how are we going to seal that samkalpa is through the breath. So let's place our hands onto our belly. So wherever you are, placing the hands onto the belly. And then we're going to exhale fully down into the belly. So exhaling, exhaling, exhaling. Inhaling into the belly, just into the belly. And exhaling fully. Inhaling into the belly. And exhaling, pulling the belly away from the t-shirt, just bringing the breath down, down, down. Inhaling into the belly. And exhaling. Working with the breath, inhaling into the belly. And exhaling. And then sliding our left hand up to the heart and feeling the heartbeat. So let's feel the heartbeat and the breath in the belly. So the two things, those vital elements, the prana, the breath, and the heartbeat that is keeping us alive here, breathing. And let's just slowly and gently connect these two spaces, the breath in the belly and the heart. Nothing major, no strain, no extreme effort. But just feeling that breath in between the right hand on the belly and the left hand onto the heart. And exhaling through the belly, exhaling, exhaling, exhaling. Inhaling into the belly, but then slowly feel the breath rising, and then roll the shoulders back and just exhaling down. So even if you're on your back, roll the shoulders back. Inhaling into the belly, bring the breath up a little higher, and exhaling down, down, down. Good. Just allowing the breath to continue on for a little bit without forcing it, without overly guiding it. And breathing. And then let's slide the hands down, back onto the belly, bringing both hands onto the belly. And if your head is on the floor, you can just take the head from side to side. And if you're sitting up, you can just take the head from side to side. Then releasing one last exhale, exhaling, exhaling. Sitting up, bringing the hands onto the knees or onto the thighs. If you're on your back, then you start to walk the feet back onto the floor, the knees to the ceiling. If you're still on the back, you can take the arms out to the side and just sort of rock the knees from side to side. And ultimately finding yourself on the right or the left and then coming up into a seated position. So here we are, joining us back again. So now we've set into our samkalpa, our intention about going a little bit further within, but then also taking that journey back out. We just looked at going into the belly breath. The belly breath I like to call is the ashram breath. Ashram is a place of refuge, somewhere that you can go that's safe. A safe space that you can go into the breath and into the belly, and that you can always bring it back to that. And so that's going to be our primary source of meditation and calming, is just bringing that breath down into the belly. Good. So here's one of those moments. Okay, so if you're scrolling through, I'm going to do that every now and then. We kind of do have a little segment change. So we're going to move on to a different type of meditation. Very simple one, using something called a mantra. Mantra is something that you repeat. Mantra can be a sentence, it can be a word, it can be a chant, it can be a phrase. The most well-known, if you will, is Om or Aum. And why is it Om or Aum? So a few of these things we'll look into a little further. If you look at the syllable, it is actually A, U, and then silence. And why do we do that? It's both to warm up things physically. It comes from here, and it goes up, and it goes out. But it's also grounding with the vibrations of the world around us as well. So it's both that internal grounding, Aum, but it's also feeling the vibrations around us as well. So if you'd like, you can join either with the hands, or the hands onto the side, or an Jnana Mudra. Bringing the hands together, and exhaling fully, exhaling, exhaling, exhaling. We're going to inhale for 3 times Oms together, inhaling. And that's one way that you can bring yourself into a little bit of a calming moment, bringing that breath either to the belly or perhaps chanting Om. And again, it's both a physical connection as we bring the O and the Aum out, but it also brings us in contact with the vibrations around us. So it's question time for the next meditation. What is that? It's a simple question, and it's a question that I ask the teacher training groups. It's a question I've asked in these small groups that we've been doing on Sunday mornings. And it's a very simple question, but it's a very difficult question to answer. And you're all here because you have some sort of interest in yoga. So, what is the first question then? What is yoga? So, however you want to stay in your meditation, you can take one hand on top of the other, touching the fingers together. You can have the hands out to the side. You can place one hand onto the belly, one hand onto the heart. But let's take a few moments, closing the eyes and focusing on that question. What is yoga? Plain and simple. So let's take a moment. And then returning for a moment, here we are. So the question, what is yoga? So a lot of times people like to know, where does the word come from? Why do we even use this word? And some of you may know it comes from this word right here, yuj. Yuj is a Sanskrit root because yoga comes from India originally. And that sounds like a given, but sometimes we forget those things. So yuj means to join together. Which begs the question, what are we joining together? We're joining something together. Yuj to yoga means to bring together. The next question is, what? And some of you may be answering to yourselves or out loud, mind and body, right? Mind and body. That's one of them. There's many things that we can bring together, but mind and body is a good answer for what is yoga. Bringing together the mind and the body. But then the next question is, well, okay, when we bring them together, do they stay together? Do they form one, or do they remain two elements? Do the mind and body stay separate? So if we go within, and we start our meditation or our yoga practice, and we go within, is that going somewhere else? Just let that question sink in for a minute. What are we actually looking for when we go within the self? Well, if the self is always there, then we're not really going anywhere. It's already here. So we have this joining. Next question, why? Okay, why do we need to join anything? If we need to join something, then that means that something was separate. So what got separated? What happened? And this is what a lot of people are saying now. Is, oh, now is the time, I can really go within and I can really make that connection because it's been lost. Okay? Has it? Has it really been lost? Is the next question. Or maybe we just weren't listening, or maybe we were too busy. And it's very easy to say, oh, but they, and then, they, scary they kept me going, or they're asking for my time. We do have control over certain things. And so one of the things we have control over is how we do respond to things. Now we can react, we can go, they, time. Or we can say, all right, here I am. Atta. Now, here I am now. Mind, body, maybe they weren't separate after all. Maybe they were actually here all along, and things just got a little cloudy. So yogas chitti vittiti nirodha, that calming, the second sutra, the calming of the agitations of the mind, the vritti is this agitation. It's this moving, chatter, 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 chatter. Calming that down, slowing it down, not emptying it. That's one of those misconceptions of yoga and meditation is the emptying, okay? An empty mind, I'm not sure we want that. An empty mind means we're not engaging. Now we can clear it and it will maybe empty, but ultimately, as we'll see, things will fill back up. But when we've made this journey in and then said, okay, yeah, let's empty this out, let's clear the noise, let's calm the chatter down, make space. What do we fill it back up with is most important. What do we fill it back up with? And that's where the Yoga Sutras and the path of yoga comes in. How do we fill that space back up and not filling it back up with the same crap? And that's a big challenge because we like to fall back on the habits. And in yoga, we call that the samskaras. The samskaras of falling back on those habits, those things that are comfortable, that usually aren't that good for us. They're easy, they're familiar, and we fall back into them. So as we go through this yoga process of going within and clearing out the cobwebs and then saying, okay, now I have the time to actually, experience this. And we create that space. We go within. What do we find? And then what do we fill that space back up with? So if you go spelunking, cave diving, cave exploring, probably not a good idea to go in without knowing how you're going to come back out. It's also nice to bring a flashlight and maybe some provisions so you don't get stuck in that cave. So yoga gives us this guide and this flashlight about how to go into that space, into this space, the space between the ears. See what we can find. See what that space allows. And then what can we bring back to the picture? Now, why is that important? Because we do go back into the picture. We don't just sit here (24/7). That's not how the world works. We do go back. We will go back. We may be in our homes now. We will go back. We will experience a world out there. Now, what do we want to bring back to that world? So let's go a little further with the yoga then. So what is yoga? Yoga is that connection, bringing possibly the mind and body together, maybe in the breath, maybe in the thoughts, maybe in our actions. So the next little meditation we're going to do, these are brief because it's a little awkward for me just to be sitting here and people tuning in going, what's going on there? So just a little short meditation. The second one then is, what is yoga not? What is yoga not? And that's going to be very important for us to go further today about what is yoga not? What are the expectations of yoga? So settling in for a moment. What is yoga not? So what is yoga not? So what are some of the answers we came up with? It's not a quick fix. It's not just asana. And it's not just meditation. Doesn't happen overnight. It takes practice. It takes a little time. It can be a lot of things for a lot of different people. And finding your yoga is going to be part of your path. But it's also important to figure out what it's not. What is it not going to do for you? It's not going to all of a sudden change everything. Now, yes, it will help. And it will help find out what to do with that space that we've opened up and how we go back. But it does not just all of a sudden take care of everything. By sitting on the yoga mat, you can bring a sense of calm and peace. Once we step off that yoga mat, that's when it really begins. So yoga is not just on the mat. Here we are on the mat, or sitting, or however you are. Then what's the next step? So let's go further with that. One of our first definitions, if you will, yoga, comes from the Bhagavad Gita. Yoga karmasu kaushalam. Yoga is skill, kaushalam, karmasu, in actions, all of our actions, all the actions that we do. Now that can be breathing, it can be sitting, it can be your asana, but it's some sort of skill. Skills take time. Skills take patience. So yoga is a skill that we can develop over time and with patience. Meditation is one of those ways we can do that. And one of the expectations of yoga and meditation is that it's going to fix things very quickly, or I feel really good afterwards, but then the feeling goes away. Or secondly, maybe you have these really big expectations and you do a meditation or you do a yoga practice and things don't really feel so hot. Maybe it didn't help. Which is why we need to see it over a long period of time. So we don't just take one experience and say, okay, well, that was yoga, that was meditation. This is not your only meditation. This is not your only yoga. It's over a long period of time. Time's relative. For some people, a long period of time might be 2 days. I've been doing yoga for 2 days. That's a long time. I've been doing yoga for 20 years. It doesn't matter how long. It's that we do see it as a process that goes over time. So then we have the Gita, and it's telling us it's a skill, a kaushalam, in our actions, karmasu. But then the other main text or philosophy that is associated with yoga is Yoga Sutras. The Yoga Sutras of Patanjali, which we began with Atta Yogana Shasanam, Yogas Chitti Vritti Nirodha. Now is the time for the practice instruction of yoga. Yoga is the calming of the fluctuations, craziness of the mind. Okay, but how and why? That's our next level of this. What is the purpose of yoga? What is the purpose of meditation? Why should we be doing this? How is this going to help? You see all these articles, it says, okay, yoga and meditation help. How? That's great. Aspirin may help a headache. But how does yoga help and why? What are we helping? And through the sutras, it's one word, and it's called dukkam. Dukkam is also in the Buddhist tradition, it's a suffering. Now that sounds like a big word. And do we want to go negative? No, we're not going negative. Suffering exists. It's out there. We're seeing it. We're experiencing it. We might be angry. We might be upset. This is dukkam. It's there. But yoga is looking to help us get past that. Moksha. Moksha is a liberation. Moksha, a liberation from dukkam. Okay, that sounds like a very big goal. How do we have liberation from suffering? Guess what? Patanjali gives us a very nice answer. It's a very simple answer, but it's very challenging to live. And this is some of the things we're looking at today. Is how do we put those into our daily practice, into our daily life? Maybe it's by breathing. Maybe it's by chanting Om. Maybe it's by sharing this time together. But ultimately, the main thing that we learn from the Yoga Sutras is svadhyaya. Svadhyaya is the self-study, self-inquiry. That's that going within that we keep hearing about. Svadhyaya. Svadhyaya. Going within, studying the self. And again, how do we do that? You know, we can use books. We can do asana. We can do meditation. We can go for a walk. We can sit and contemplate. We can ask our little head, like, hello, anyone in there? But ultimately, that's the going within, is the question of like, okay, how am I doing? What am I doing? Why am I doing? Svadhyaya. Svadhyaya leads to experience and then knowledge, because the ultimate source of dukkam, or suffering, in yoga is avidya. Avidya is avidya. Vidya is knowledge, so avidya is ignorance, ignorance of the self. And again, that could sound very negative. It's like, oh, but I know myself. Yes, but our self is changing. Now, there may be the immortal self that doesn't change, but the self that we go through everyday life is experiencing different things, and that's changing. And we're having to constantly, it's a process. You don't do yoga one day and then it's all done. It is a process over time. So svadhyaya, the self-inquiry, leads to knowledge, and that knowledge can help remove or lessen the suffering. And that brings us to the Yoga Sutras 2.16. Heyam dukkam anagatam. Heyam dukkam anagatam. Now, a lot of people like 2.46, which is sthira sukham asanam. Sthira sukham asanam. That's sitting. Heyam dukkam anagatam is a little bit more interesting. Heyam means something that can be avoided or ought to be avoided. Dukkam is the suffering. Anagatam is not yet happened. Now that's the interesting point. It doesn't say it removes suffering from the past. That would be agatam. It doesn't stop the suffering that is happening right now, because that's already a process. So if we're feeling any pain or any frustration or any anger or any discomfort, that's happening right now. We can't erase that. We experience it. And that is part of the meditation, is we experience it. We let it happen. But anagatam is the suffering that has not yet happened. In other words, when we clear that space, what do we fill it back up with? Not more dukkam, according to yoga. But viveka. Viveka is intelligent decision making based on this experience, based on these going within, the svadhyaya. So that going within brings us with our little flashlight, yoga flashlight. We're in the cave, we've got our rope to get us back out. That svadhyaya brings us to experience a new light and new depths and cobwebs in the head, and then we get viveka, and it's like, ah, yes. Wow, I really reacted very strongly to that post on Facebook. I went absolutely ballistic and started typing and getting all angry and putting up little angry faces, and that's a reaction. Usually doesn't help. You usually don't feel better afterwards. Now you might for a bit. But what we can learn is in, okay, wait a second, now why did I respond to that? What set me off? What threw me into this vritti, the agitations of the mind? A Facebook post. And then everything's all scattered. So instead we sit back and we go, okay, why is this making me feel that way? And then we can go, okay, that's interesting. It's because this happened in the past and now I'm projecting it onto this post at the moment. And then those surge of feelings come up. And then they pass. And we let them pass. We also don't deny them. We don't say, oh, I can't be angry. I can't be upset. I can't be happy. No, you can. You should be. That means you're alive. You're happy, sad, angry, excited. It means you're alive. But then what do? We learn how to respond instead of react to that. And that again is through that yoga practice. We learn this viveka and then we make intelligent decisions when we get into a new situation. And potentially gives us a how. How do we do this? The 8 limbs of yoga. Ashtanga, Ashta-anga. Ashta, 8, anga, limbs. This is limb, 8 limbs, 8 limbs of yoga. Ashta-anga, Ashtanga. Many of you may know them. We'll just go through them very quickly. Again, we're not in school. Yamas. And the two I'd like to just point out quickly. Yamas. Yamas are things that we do to help prepare ourselves before we get to the mat. Ahimsa, nonviolence. Very important one right now. Feelings are getting very agitated. Ahimsa, nonviolence to the self and others. This is preparing ourselves for the meditation, for the yoga. This is what we do before we do the yoga. Now there's 5 yamas, but the only other one today I'd like to mention is aparigraha. Aparigraha is not taking more than you need. Hamstring, toilet paper. Aparigraha, toilet paper. Don't take more than you need, please. Niyamas. Niyamas are also what we do before we get onto the mat. 2 of those. Santosha. Santosha is this feeling of contentment, but it's not like, oh yeah, it's okay. No, things aren't always okay. We see that. It's saying, okay, how are things right now? And what can I do about that? Some things we can do about, some things we can't. Then svadhyaya is another one of the niyamas, that's self-inquiry. So the yamas and niyamas are preparation for we get on the mat. So we're almost on the mat again. So get ready. We're going to do another meditation. So if you need to move, go to the bathroom, get some tea. We're going to have a little tea here. Take a moment. Yamas and niyamas. That's what we do before we get on the mat. Then asana. Asana, everyone loves the asana. Asana, stiram sukhanasanam. 2.46 Yoga Sutras. That just means sitting. I'm in siddhasana now. Maybe you want to be in sukhasana. Maybe you want to be in virasana. Padmasana, lotus pose. Asana is just sitting and making sure that you have this foundation. So we cleared the mind, we have the yamas, niyamas. We're here, we're on the mat, and then we sit in asana. Find your seat then. So I'm inviting you to find your asana. Asana, sitting. Literally the word means sitting. Asana. I'm choosing siddhasana. Now, when we sit in a yoga seat, okay, we can do the al-bundi, or we can sit up tall. Now, one is not like, ooh, I do yoga, I don't do yoga. No, this makes space for the breath, clears the head, and we can breathe a little stronger, because 3 is asana, 4 is pranayama. Prana, the breath, life force, it's a little bit bigger than breath. Breath is very small translation. The life force, pranayama, is how we are using this life force around us. That's number 4. So let's do a pranayama. Take your 2 fingers, press them into the forehead, and then just kind of massage this space out a little bit. Release that. Okay, this is a center of tension headache. So it starts in the back, it comes around, and finishes up right here. So let's start rubbing that space a little bit, releasing this tension. Good. Then we're going to take the thumb and the 4th finger. This is called Nadi Shodhana. Nadi Shodhana, some of you have done this. It's a cleansing of the nadis. Nadis are these channels. They can be energy. In this case, they're the sinus and the breathing. So we're going to alternate between the nostrils, and I'm going to be guiding you through this. This is another guided meditation. So we take these 2 fingers and we press the thumb on the right and the 4th finger on the left. With the left hand, you can place it into the lap, you can place it onto the thigh, wherever you would like, or onto the belly. Pressing the 2 fingers in here, nice and tall, and then exhaling fully, exhaling, exhaling, exhaling. Press the thumb onto the right, then we inhale left, press the left, exhale right. Inhale right. Exhale left. Inhale left. Press, exhale right. Inhale right. Press, exhale left. Inhale left. Press, exhale right. Inhale right. Press, exhale left. Inhale left. Press, exhale right. Inhale right. Press, exhale left. Inhale left. Press, exhale right. Inhale right. Press, exhale left. Inhale left. Press, exhale right. Inhale right. Press, exhale left. Inhale left. Release, exhale fully, bring the chin down into the chest. Just close the eyes for the moment. Maybe the head feels a little light. Just allow the cleansing, the shodhana of the nadis to sink in for a moment. Nadi shodhana, cleansing of the channels. All right, now we've built our foundation. So the yamas, we have the ahimsa, we're not doing violence to ourselves or others. Aparigraha, we're not hoarding toilet paper. Niyamas, santosha, that we're like, here we are, this is our situation. Not that I just accept it, but that I'm here and I understand it. Svadhyaya, we're looking inwards, we're doing the self-study. Asana, we found our seat. Pranayama, we did our breathing. Nadi Shodhana. Pratyahara is the next one. Pratyahara literally means, so if you know the turtle, and you pull the legs and the head in, that's pratyahara. So that would be the same verb. So a turtle goes, wheep. Pratyahara pulls in the head and the legs. Pratyahara is in bringing in the senses into a little bit more focus. So I'm going to guide you through a little spoken meditation. Now this is more of a visualization, not necessarily meditation. a little bit of visualization, but how we can really think about the thoughts, the vritti, the churnings, the whirlings going on, and how maybe we can calm those down a little bit. So again, if you need to make an adjustment, if you want to sit in virasana, if you want to change your seat, go ahead and do that. And then finding that space. Making that shape that you feel comfortable in. And then if you want to have the hands into a mudra, yana mudra, you can say bhumi sparsti, which is touching earth, or you can just have the hands here. Then I'm going to guide you through this a little bit. So let's close the eyes. And I know this sounds very trite, but we're going to start with imagine a body of water. Now that can be anything. It can be a lake, it can be a river, it can be an ocean, it can be a swimming pool. Yeah, probably not a swimming pool. Let's go a little bigger. So here we are, and you're going to just imagine that, and it can be whatever you want. So getting that mental picture, again, this is a little bit of visualization. Finding that body of water. And then we look out onto the water. And then we look around. And we notice where we are. We experience our surroundings. We notice if we're on sand or on rock. There's trees around. There's plants. So we notice our surroundings. And we're aware of the surroundings. Then we start to notice maybe the temperature of the air. It's sunny out here in Belgium. Maybe the sun's out, maybe it's a clear day, maybe it's cloudy, maybe it's windy. Could be cold, could be warm. So notice the air around. And then maybe notice the sounds next. Are there sounds? Are there birds? Seagulls? The wind? Or is it silent? Silence, the absence of the sound. So we notice that as well. Then we look back out onto the water and we see that it's very clear. Clear as in there's nothing on the water, but then we look at this water itself. Are there waves? Is it calm? Is the sun reflecting off the water? Can we see through the water? Is it clear? Is it dark? Is it green? Is it blue? What color? Do we hear the water? Those are all the senses. Maybe you can even taste the air. Maybe it's salty, sweet. And then we look back out onto the water. We notice out of the corner of our eyes a ship or a boat, and it slowly comes into focus. Then we look, we really look with wonder and curiosity. Look at the shape of the boat. Look at the size of the boat. Look at the speed of the boat. Does it make a noise or is it quiet? Is it a sailboat or is it a motorboat? Is it a steamboat or a paddle boat? We really look at the color and the shape. We hear. And then it moves across the horizon. We watch it, and we watch it, and we watch it. And then it goes. And then it's clear again. And then we notice out of the corner of our eye another ship or boat, and it's coming across. It's coming across, but it's different. Maybe it's bigger, maybe it's smaller, maybe it's faster, maybe it's slower. We just notice that again, and we start to make a distinction. What's the difference? Is it loud? Are there people on it? How does that make me feel? Am I annoyed? Am I happy? And then that boat or ship passes along too. Sooner or later, more are going to come by, and each one is different, and each one creates a different emotion or a feeling or reaction. Maybe even envy. Maybe, ooh, I like that boat. I want that boat. Or, ooh, that boat's really loud. But each boat keeps passing across the horizon. And then we bring ourselves back in. This is the pratyahara. So then we bring all of those senses back inside at this point. We pull in those legs and limbs into our little shell, and here we are. And then we look at, what did we just experience? What did I get out of that experience? I noticed that I had certain reactions, I had certain feelings, I had certain expectations about the boat, the ship. So then we turn back in after that. And then some of you clever people out there probably already figured out, these are our thoughts. And our thoughts come through the mind, just like those ships crossing across the horizon. And then sometimes Facebook post, anger, or you see a butterfly, happiness. And these thoughts and these reactions pass. And what we're looking at in yoga is not to deny the fact that these ships pass. We don't deny that there are ships passing. We don't deny that these feelings come up, but rather we realize they will pass. This does pass. This too shall pass. And those boats will pass. And we don't become attached to those boats. So that boat made me angry. So I don't become attached to that boat. Because ultimately that anger passes. We don't become and identify with that happiness. Because ultimately that happiness may pass too. And what are we left with? We're left with that self, that interior self. All those others were separate. What we're left with is ourselves. And that's when it's interesting. So when we allow those boats to pass and let them go, and we created this space, and then again, what do we fill that space with? The viveka is how we respond rather than react. So when that horizon is clear, we do have a little bit of control over how we then respond to the next boat that comes across. So let's take this a little bit further. If you need to move, here's my, so in case you're scrolling through, we're sitting here meditating for the past hour. No, we're not. If you need to move, we're going to do one last one. And this one I would suggest if you want to be on your back, if you want to be sitting, however you want to find your shape. If you want to need to move around, get a little tea, go to the bathroom. I'm having some tea. We're going to go look at the last 3 limbs of yoga, because this is how we get out of that space from going within, we need to come back out. And it's those last three that are going to help us get back out. Very important. This is our rope, our flashlight was the asana, the pranayama. Our rope is going to be the samyama, dharana, dhyana, samadhi. How do we get back out? Finding your shape, whether it's sitting or on the back, on the belly. We're going to start coming out similar to the way we came in. It's a little bit of a body scan, if you will, if you hate that. Yikes. And just think of it as checking a little bit of inventory. Find the shape. Notice the physical body. Noticing the shape that you've allowed your body to choose. Again, not the one you think you should be in, but the one that you're in. The one that needs to be here and now for you, that shape. The yamas and niyamas were the practice before the mat. The asana and the pranayama were on the mat. Pratyahara, we clear the mind, and now we're ready for the dharana. Dharana is this concentration. We're going to concentrate on this shape, the shape of the body that we're in at this moment. Dharana. Bringing that concentration to the self. And with that, let's notice again how the feet are doing. Where do the feet have contact? Are the feet covered on the floor? And then we slowly bring the awareness up into the lower legs. And again, if you're sitting, that's one experience. If you're on your back, that's another. And feeling that connection from the lower legs into the feet. And maybe you have the legs supported. And we feel that sensation up into the upper legs, both in the front and the back. So if you're lying on your back, you feel the back of the legs. And with that support from below, you have freedom from above. So with the base and the grounding that we have from the legs, we feel that connection with the ground. The grounding, the foundation, the basis, or mula, the root. And we bring the attention back to that ashram breath in the belly, a relaxing, calming, safe breath in the belly. And we look at this breath as the yoga, that connection, that joining between the upper and the lower, between the side to side, between the front and the back, between the inhale and the exhale. The yoga, the breath in the belly. And we exhale, exhale, exhale. Inhaling into the belly. And exhaling. Inhale into the belly. And exhaling. Inhale belly. And exhaling. And then with that grounding, with each inhale, we feel the breath like a fountain of light It flows upwards, up into the shoulders, and then out into the fingers as we release and exhaling, exhaling, exhaling. So with each grounding breath, we begin in the belly and releasing, exhaling. The dharana, the full body shape, from the heels out into the toes, up into the head. We find the back of the head, whether it's on the back of the floor or up in space, and we take this imaginary line and we draw a line to the space between the eyebrows, sometimes called the third eye space. Anya, the sixth chakra, the prefrontal cortex, the space of creativity and knowledge. And we bring that singularity of focus, that dhyana, the eka garada dhyana, into that space between the eyebrows. Closing the eyes, keeping that focus in the space. Keeping that focus, we listen to the sound. The singularity, the dhyana in the space between the eyebrows, we follow the sound. One final. Holding that space, bringing the hands together, pressing the thumbs into the space between the eyebrows. Maybe you're on your back or sitting. We begin to press that space inwards. From the dhyana, we bring the thumbs down to the heart center. Samadhi. Samadhi is the integration, the synthesis that we bring back from our experience. Samadhi, to synthesize and to integrate into your life the clarity, the space that we created through the practice, through the patience, many of you know the next mantra that we'll walk through together. Loka. Loka means the worlds, all the worlds. Samasta, brought together. Tsukino, possessing happiness. Bhavantu, Let these worlds come together, possessing happiness. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Shanti means peace, and we end it with Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Sealing the practice with one final Om together, exhaling fully, exhaling, exhaling, exhaling. Inhaling for one Om. Namaste. Respect. Thank you for being here.